dig. You know what I mean? It's so hard to find people that you can completely be like, whoa, okay, mad respect, or I need to get on that level. You know, folks that are doing shit for themselves, there's like this badass attitude going on, you know what I mean? Whether it's the Instagram posts or whatever, new DJ I didn't know about. And there's a whole lot of people that I didn't know about. And I'm excited about that. That's the kind of world I want to live in, where it comes to women, it's just like when it comes to dudes, there's so many dope people that you can't even bother with the top 10. Sometimes you just basking in it, that, you know, there's a network, you can reach out, whatever you're thinking, there's someone with a skill set who can make that shit possible, you know, as opposed to having to like conform to certain societal norms where gender, etc., and race and all these other boring things are involved, where it's just like mad skill. So I'm really, really appreciating that. And I've linked with like really dope women this past year, like DJ KCL from Copenhagen. So we met last year. We did like played a few gigs together, and we're like, yo, dude, we need to work together. Yo, come through. We do some shows. We play together. You know, she's got a crew, Timeless, dope dancers. You know, it's all. And I found that also in Europe, the feminine energy is just a little bit, I would say, stronger. You know, when it comes to hip hop, there isn't as much. I wouldn't say there isn't as much misogyny, but that tendency to be condescending towards a woman because of what you already know, kind of vibe. Like we get like quite a lot of it here. You know what I mean? And I felt like, yeah, man, this is a space to expand. This is a space to learn as well, the whole journey to pick up, because it's different talking to someone who's from your own environment about stuff that you don't know versus talking to someone from a whole completely different environment and their take on what they don't know. You know, there's so much that we don't know about ourselves, about, you know, others, about our environment, everything that's changing, that we do need to like listen more. I feel, you know.
Yeah, we
do need to listen more. And you know, you get to hear a whole lot of dope stuff, because I feel like, I don't know if I can say, sometimes, you know, when people talk about women in hip hop, I don't know if I'm like on this woman vibe today, but when folks talk about like women in hip hop, it's often, when it comes to like misogynistic cats in particular, oh, I don't listen to female rap, as though it is a genre. You know what I mean? Like somehow separate, like there's something in the music or something technically different that's gonna make you say that's a woman doing it. And I feel, you know, it used to piss me off, you know. And then when the more women I listen to, or the more women I'm exposed to and their viewpoints, it does start to feel like, actually, yeah, you know, the way the majority of male rappers are presenting hip hop, it is starting to feel like women are like on a completely different level. It could like be almost a subgenre in the way of thought. You know what I mean? We're at completely different points of the spectrum at any point, whether it's societal, complete male, complete female, everything that's lovely in between. And you know, you've got like this viewpoint that's almost completely unheard, almost, because there's like one woman for like all these hundreds of guys at any point in time. But at any point in time in the world, we completely outnumber men. You know what I mean? It's not a true representation, you know, of women that love hip hop, that can rap, that dance, that write, you know, and spray, DJ, all that shit. It's not really represented. So we're not really hearing that voice or that perspective or that angle. Not to say that it's all gonna be the same. Every woman is gonna come through with some fresh. We're not trying to be general, but you know, still in that vein, there is something dope and fresh with the emergence of women being like, yo, I can actually own this space, or I've been owning this space and now I'm coming into the light, you know, because that's actually more where it's at. It's not that women are now waking up to hip hop. Oh my God. No, a lot of women have been there for the longest time and only now are getting recognition because maybe people are more open to it. You know, this is the right time for everything to be happening now, you know.
Right. It's kind of like we kind of talk. I mean, not even kind of. We do talk about this a lot because that is what we do. Women are oftentimes marginalized to like this, just this box. You know what I mean? And mainstream wise, not saying that I care personally for women going mainstream, but it's like it's always a central focus on the dudes. And it's like y'all talking about, everybody's always asking me and Chris all the time, like, we love the 90s to death, don't get us wrong, but we're sick of hearing about everything that went on in the 90s with women in hip hop, and we know for sure it's a plethora of women out here
Yeah.
doing this and doing it,
Yeah.
not just doing it, but doing it very well. It's like
Yeah.
the balance has just fallen. Like there's no balance. You know what I mean? Like we go into shows, we go into, different concerts, just different events, and it's a whole lineup of dudes on the lineup,
Yeah.
DJs, MCs, b-boys, but it's like, I know y'all know some women out here doing it.
Yeah.
I know that y'all know somebody out here doing it. You know what I mean? And it's like a lot of these women, that is in the game go hard as fuck. And it's like, do y'all not see that if you dig, it might not be mainstream, it might not be available to you right now, but if you really look and you dig and you actually take the time to see that there's women actually out here doing it, you'll know they're here. They've been here. They
Yeah.
ain't went nowhere. They here. They doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
And I
know?
don't really get the animosity at this point in time, you know, if they, you know, like literally is any, because to be honest, I haven't heard maybe a guy, or maybe I just haven't been around people that are like that, you know.
Yeah.
I ain't really into chicks rapping or you know what I mean.
Yeah. Female rap is
So
what they call
so
it.
I don't know if female rap,
Female
that
rap.
that shit, you know, I haven't heard about it in a while. So also it matters what circles you want to put yourself into, because I think coming into hip hop, you didn't really have a choice, you know, about who you're gonna associate with from the beginning. Well, you know, by saying you, I mean me.
Yeah.
Really, when I came into it, you know, they were just the guys that were there rapping, and I was shy as fuck, and I didn't know what to do, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you have your positive cats and you have your negative cats. You know what I mean? You have your whack cats, you have your really dope cats. Maybe they don't have time, or they do have time. No one, you know, I'm not like going around asking folks to give me rap lessons or whatever, but I like to hang around and kind of see how folks are doing their shit, and you know, hang around ciphers, checking shit out. So you tend to have to sort of conform. You don't want to stick out for something other than your ability to rap. You know, as a woman, that's something that's constantly there. You know, not for everyone. There are some that are like, you know, into the physical shit, or the, you know, the sexuality, let celebrating it, or you know, letting it be there and being part of their character. And then you have some that don't want that shit because of how society sees women and sexuality already. You don't want to maybe feed into that. So as a rapper like that, there's always that. A male doesn't understand that it's a world that he's born into where he can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Right.
But then you have to make sure that you're not presenting yourself in a male defined slutty form, or you're not being too womany or sexual. Now you're having to play being one of the boys at the expense of your femininity. You don't know what the hell that
Right.
shit is, because it's not taking up any room in hip hop in the first place. You know what I
Right.
mean? No one is really addressing that shit. So you do have to blend in, and you find we're taking up voices that are not authentic. You know what I mean? Because you know, you'll justify it to yourself. No, I'm presenting the woman's version of this and that, but it's not your story, and you don't know what your story is because you're scared you're gonna get left at. Maybe it is about your thighs, you know, because that's what half these cats are thinking you're gonna do. Oh, you wanna go there and rap about your titties, because that's what they do. You know,
Right.
as far as the woman is concerned, that's what they do. So automatically they're assuming that that's what you're trying to do.
Right.
So there's all this shit that you're dealing with in the first place, you know, and it's all identity stuff, you know. But once you're in it and you can find yourself and let it not matter, you know, what gender means to the thing, or let it matter, you know, whichever way you're gonna decide to fight, you're gonna have to fight, because you ain't a man, you're not a man, or whatever society decides a man is. So, you know, the boys clubs and first lady, what, that shit is boring as fuck, you know. But like, you can understand for sisters that are out hustling it, and I find that I relate, like at this age, you know, after all these years rapping, more to women. I'm more interested in women, because maybe I'm tired of having conversations that always like reach some kind of wall, because at some point it's gonna now want to get affected in a space where, you know, it really didn't exist, and that wasn't a bad thing, you know. Like, you know, me being a woman wasn't a factor. It didn't make me feel like less of a person if I don't want to be approached that in that way. And, you know, manhood should, I reckon, be like that, not be so delicate, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah, like, so I understand a whole lot of issues that revolve around gender stuff, and I try to not let it piss me off, or where I can't be myself, really, you know, where I'm in self-doubt, or someone is making me doubt myself, or, you know, trying to come into the space, you know. This is what I've learned working with the people that I work with, and definitely not working with the people that I don't work with, because, you know, it has to come from a place of respect. And, you know, all it takes is a man to make someone feel like a woman. Really, when you're rolling around, maybe you're just like a human being, man, handling your shit, and then someone has to come and say, you know, this about you. And it's no longer so much men dictating what a woman should or shouldn't do, but we need to get rid of like the self-policing amongst each other as women, you know, to stop playing for the other team. If you know, like, if you're into playing teams and that kind of thing, and if you're about integration, then be about it, you know.
Right.
So, and also the stereotype of women don't get along, and what, it's outdated, you know. I find it more and more to be false in my interactions with like people around, like in general. Even it's never been so hectic in the first place, but like, you know, there is a war to fight, man, and it's not necessarily amongst each other. It might look that way sometimes, you know, but I do think like listening and, you know, like speaking honestly, you know, at the expense of everything, be it your self-image or your pride or whatever, rather that in your music, in your art, amongst your friends, you know, don't condone shit that you really are not down with, you know what I mean? And from there we can start to build some shit. We can talk about things that need to be talked about. We can enjoy things that are meant to be enjoyed, you know. And there's space for everything, like especially in hip hop, you know. I think where it comes from is a space of self-exploration and exploration of your surroundings, you know, to dig and find joy in that dig, to seek and to look for things, you know. Like in our society, everything is on your lap, man, you know, get whatever at the click of a mouse or whatever, you know. So there isn't so much desire to look for things, but there's something very character building in that, you know. And I think we needed a little bit more of it in hip hop. And I think that the young cats, even guys and women that are coming up currently, are, you know, like doing some really cool shit. You know, we're not having the same complaints, same arguments or whatever. We're making progress in some ways. You know, there's some ways that are still lacking, obviously. But I'm excited, man. You know, like I'm excited about the time we're in. I'm excited about art. I'm excited about our voices, you know, as Black people. I'm excited about, you know, just like freedom, really, you know. It feels like a something that's quite out of reach, and at times it feels so close, from like a conversation with someone over the internet about like some kind of concept or whatever, where you see like, oh damn, you know, cats are thinking way up there. And it's nice to have big thinkers, you know, to not have people that are constantly looking to be led, you know, always looking for the next shit to follow. It's nice, man, to see other people doing dope stuff and shining. You know, it's nice to see, you know, like anti-racist, like some super serious fuck the bullshit sentiment all across, man. It's nice to not talk about borders sometimes. It's nice to not complain, you know, but we have to work at it where that shit is for real, you know. You know, shit is wacky, like, boo, you know, sorry. It's cool, you know, you don't have to take offense. You just work hard at your shit. But, you know, that's the ideal, you know. It's probably not going to happen, but it's nice working towards it. And it's nice having people that can share that with you. And there's space for that as well, you know, for dreamers and shit. You know,
right.
like we're out here and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why
I'm like having this nice conversation.
You have a lot that you need to say, and
I didn't realize
I appreciate that. Like I feel it's like this. You've been having this build up. You know what I mean?
Man, girl, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna keep it so chilled because like surprising myself here. Oh, okay. I guess that's how I feel.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I thoroughly enjoy it. Most people, like when I talk to them, they're really like not reserved, but they're like, even though I tell them like this interview, like I have to tell people before we start the interview, I'm like, you know, it's a chill interview, you know, don't worry about, you know, saying nothing. It's open. Like I'm open to freedom and expression of self.
Yeah.
But you were like, yo, let me just drop some knowledge real quick on these.
I didn't even like that. Like, man,
No, I'm hearing you. Everything that you're saying right now
shit.
is a conversation that I've had with Krista CM in the past. Like, it's a lot of stuff that needs to be addressed, but at the same time, we enjoying the ride. You know what I mean? Like enjoying that growth, enjoying just seeing the community evolve in a sense.
Yeah.
So like when I'm hearing you talking, I'm just like, yes, okay, yes,
girl.
Yes.
Yeah, girl. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm feeling it, man. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh man, it's good. It's good for me as well, man. Shoot. You know, it's good to have people to talk to. I think, you know, we don't necessarily have to like agree 100% or whatever, but like, you know, sometimes you just chill here, writing, we're in the studio, yo, let's do these missions, we're doing this and that, and you know, you have a whole lot of stuff on your mind, and this is stuff that I don't necessarily like feel like I can translate properly into a song, you know. There's certain issues that I'm just like, man, let's just talk about this shit. There's no going around it. There's no pretty words that are gonna make it any less than what it is, you know. And I'm just finding in life there's just certain things you just can't wrap your way out of,
Right.
you know.
Right.
You just have to have those hard talks, whether it's with your peoples or not with you, you know. You're not gonna be for everyone anyway. So yeah, like man, there's a whole lot of stuff going on, you know, like that we could rant about, I suppose. Also, I mean, at the same time, I feel like, oh, there's mad attention on our country as well. I mean, on the continent, obviously, but like our country as well, when it comes to like politics and stuff like that. These are like conditions that we're living under, whether it's like a social thing or like a mental, psychological issue that we're having, or, you know, like things that we do need to talk about. And I've always felt like hip hop has always been that vehicle more than any other genre that I've ever encountered, liked, disliked, or whatever. You know, I don't know any other where, you know, even at its height, the amount of words you can squeeze into one verse, you know what I mean? The amount of knowledge you can put into such a small space is amazing, you know, and the creativity that it takes for someone to move you on an issue that maybe you didn't know about, you know. Half the stuff that I knew growing up, I learned from hip hop, you know, from references that maybe I didn't understand in the music. You know what I mean? Maybe, you know, I was too young to understand what even Black consciousness was growing up. You know what I mean? Because you're in the shit. You know, there's no time to be getting enlightened or whatever shit's, you know, it's fucked, you know? So growing up in that time, you know, we're pretty sheltered. I mean, myself growing up, you know, like we lived on a farm with my cousins and, you know, my grandmother and my mother. And well, my mother was like working. She was a teacher at some point. And so like I grew up in a very matriarchal family with this woman who was in charge of everything. So and so school fees are getting paid. She's the person to talk to, you know what I mean? If this needs to be fixed, she's the person. So growing up, that was my world. You know, this is what women do and what, and men ask questions and women answer them. You know what I mean? And in my family, it's like women and women and women, and then like one little boy. You know what I mean? So like growing up, you like it forms how you think about things. You know, so how you relate to those kinds of things, like these kinds of subcultures or these little groups or cliques that happen. You know what I mean? But like back to that, like growing up, like all these things that you're experiencing, you don't really have a reference point to them as a child. You know, you're not really understanding that there is even a difference. You're just like, okay, white people are doing that shit and we're just doing that, or that's, you know, oh, or white person, or because, you know, our areas are segregated. So therefore, yes, if you're a white person walking down the hood, all the kids were pointing out and, you know, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, you only see that shit on TV, if they do have a TV, you know? So all that kind of stuff kind of started to make sense coming up, like where I'm going from, in a politically hot climate. You know, it only started to make sense for me with hip hop because of what I think the states had gone through with, you know, the civil rights movement and its own history. You know what I mean? Because when we're going to school, man, it's not like mostly African history that we're learning. You know, we're learning like European history and a little bit of this and that. You know what I mean?
Wait, hold up. Wait. In South Africa, y'all was learning?
Yes, this is like, I mean, the education system has changed a lot since then. You know what I mean? But still, that was it. I mean, South African law, I remember on some course, was still based mostly on like Roman law, you know, little bits of it, and some of the stuff that came down from Europe. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, our African traditions and way of doing things were kept orally, you know, not necessarily written down, and there are very few historians that are still keeping some of that knowledge. You know what I mean? But because now the whole country is under these motherfuckers, you know, for a while under apartheid, of course they're not teaching any Black history. What the fuck for? You know what I mean? So what they did was make Bantu education, which is pretty much the way I've come to understand it, is there's a level of education that everybody's getting. You know, let's say maybe the UK's got the standard, the Americans have the standard, you know, South Africa's got the standard and everybody's getting educated according to maybe, let's say the highest is the British level, you know, of whatever level of education it is, like in the school system, you know. So what they did was not allow Black people access to that. You know what I mean? So if you've got an education system where you've got a higher grade or a standard grade or a lower grade, there's something that you're not teaching certain pupils. You have classes that are divided. There's a smart class and a sort of middle class and a dumb class. You know, this is stuff from the old era. This is not how, you know, shit is done now. But a whole lot of people went through that whole education system. You know what I mean? Where you're not learning what you should be learning. You're learning this much out of that much. You know what I mean? So you're missing out on a whole lot of shit. You're not qualified for a whole lot of positions. Hence, Black people got disadvantaged in that way. You know, you're not getting the proper education. You don't have a whole lot of Black lawyers and doctors and all of that shit. So everyone that went through that education system, i.e. our parents, would now psychologically, obviously, later on, you can't study this or you can't study that, because for them, these are the jobs. These are the courses you need to take to guarantee that you get a job. And you get a job, that's the Black person struggles. To get a job is just to survive. And whereas the rest, you know, like white folks are getting like decent education and you know, getting afforded all these wonderful job opportunities. So that shit that got fucked up then has its repercussions now, obviously, in a way of thinking. You segregate people and make them live in a certain place where they don't have access to certain like basic rights or whatever, you know what I mean? Places is filthy, there like hardly any fucking trees, you know what I mean? You go to the suburbs and it's mad nice or whatever. I mean, I'm not playing pessimist and we're like mixed.
No, this is real. This is real.
But this is
real.
These are issues that we're struggling with amongst ourselves as Black folks, where we're not on some, hey, we don't want to be a nation of complainers. You know what I mean? Why is it like when folks from other countries come through, yo, South Africans, we're sleeping on opportunities and this and this and that. And there's a vibe maybe that, man, we've been through so much shit, man. Who can we get a break? You know, rebuild our shit and you know, and the political parties playing on that shit and economic freedom, because that is what the South African wants. The average South African just wants to be able to be cool, to chill, to be able to afford the shit that they need, take care of their kids, you know what I mean? Get them a decent education. And unfortunately, for most people, you know, it's not popping. It's not happening like that, you know? The standard of education is mad low. You know, that's only going to ensure that you get subpar, you know? So, man, there's a lot going on that we could complain about. I mean, I suppose that was my point, you know? And I find like hip hop allows you to vent because of the way that hip hoppers think, or at least the more militant branch of hip hoppers, not the let's ignore everything that's happening around us and blow cash that we don't have kind of hip hoppers. It's cool, y'all can do that. It's all right, you know, it's fine. But like, you know, we're all different. Some of us, we share a struggle. You know, if you don't share a struggle with someone, you don't share a struggle with someone. So I just feel like for myself and peeps that I know and love and respect, and I know that each country has its own shit that they're dealing with. We look at the music scene, there's the underground scene, there's the mainstream, there's this, there's that, and there's always a good and bad to everything. But we need to get to the root of what the fucked up thing is. You know what I mean? Like at some point, if you're in a whack situation, you can acknowledge it and try to do something about it, you know? Or you can just, if you're just gonna be like, yeah, this is my situation, you know, then it is your situation and that's what it's gonna stay as, you know what I mean? And, you know, like, I feel like my peers, my people's, man, you're tired of having a whack story. You know what I mean? You're tired of having some, you know, when you gotta come out, it's gonna be some stereotypical, yo, here's some rapper shit, and I'm just trying to make, you know, there's certain stereotypes that we're kind of like, nah, man, we're through with that. Like, you know, with what women have done over the last 100 whatever years, you know. And I just feel like, you know, as individuals, we just need to evolve to just some next shit. You know, if you're tired of the pit that you're in, then don't be scared of, you know, freaking out. Like maybe when it comes to certain things, struggles, revolutions, you do need to lose your mind a bit. You know, like if like being straight and playing by the book and doing all this stuff that you know hasn't worked up until now, then while out, you know what I mean? Because I don't think any fight has ever been won by people who are so scared of what other people are going to say, or I'm so scared of how people are going to react. This is a fucking issue. You do something about it, you do something about it. You know what I mean? Folks can react how they can react. You know what I mean? And nothing will give you that sense of relief than fighting for what you know is right. You know, if it's yourself, it's all about you. It's all about you. If it's your family, it's your family. If it's your music, it's your art. It's that shit, you know. And then we can't, man. Like, you know, waking up and going to work every morning is tiring. It's so draining for people that are not meant for that shit. You know, if it's cool and you're killing it, it's cool. But for you, if you're not cool with it, you're not cool with it. You know, you gotta find a way, you know. And my shit, I throw tantrums at the universe. Whatever, you know, whatever. I want this thing, you know, you know. Otherwise, what are we doing, man? You know, like folks have died for like the noblest of causes, and we're like scared to do some shit that we're supposed to do for our own well-being. You know, it's not a big thing. We just like just need to man up. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Like with everything that we do, like supporting, loving each other, you know, encouraging the criticism, you know, being able to give it and take it. You really need to be like, yeah, and fuck it, I'm here now, Jesus. You know, it's like this.
Right.
Yeah.
You kind of just tore up my question of who you be, where you from, and when you was first introduced to hip hop.
Oh,
Tore it up. I was looking. I was like, dang, she going into this. Like, it's really refreshing.
Oh man, I realized
to
you
talk
didn't ask
to.
me a question.
No, but it's candid. I love this. It's really refreshing to talk to somebody who ain't on that same plane, if you know what I mean. Like who thinks outside of the pit, like who looks at the bigger picture, who looks outside of the box of things that people, like you talked about, are just complacent with, just used to. Well, this is how things are. If it's fucked up, then what are you doing to change it? What are you doing to change it? What are you doing to make it better? What are you contributing to the world? You didn't just come on this world to just survive. You didn't.
Yeah, man.
None of us came on this world to just come and survive. That's not
and
what
just
we were brought here to
survive,
do.
dude. Yeah. And I feel like also, you know, it's not that pressure. You don't have to save the world, you know.
Right.
You don't have to save your world, but make sure your shit is straight, you know. Do what you're supposed to do. Do what you said you're gonna do to the best of your ability, you know. Don't fuck with people you don't want to, you know, like over compromise yourself. I find that like women deal with that shit a whole lot more than men do, to just over compromise yourself, because that's how we're built, you know. That's how women are made, you know. Like it's a whole system where like guys don't have to. I don't feel like men understand what it's like to be dominated physically by another human being, because women ain't doing that. We're not bigger than men. We're not out here attacking these cats, you know what I mean? Like you're physically bigger, and the dynamic that I see is, or that I've seen in the past, is the woman speaking and the man is speaking, and she's saying, you're not hearing me, and then he's rising up, you know, and she's rising up. This is like an intellectual battle where you can see that like it's two really strong forces together, because women are just as strong as men mentally, and when it comes to that, the lesser men will now feel like shit, let me take it to the next step and get violent, you know what I mean?
Right.
So like a whole it's a competitive kind of thing, a competitive, and that's just like the macrocosm of what has been happening, like or what somehow forms the psyche of the woman or the man, or the dynamic where we can't really get along without some kind of compromise happening, where we're fighting the same battle, we're on the same team, but somehow, you know, I'm getting played here, you know what I mean? I have to work extra, you know what I mean? I'm putting in like as much heart as this dude, but like, you know, it's not getting recognized, or it's somehow it's worth less. I don't understand how, at what point does it happen, because it's not happening in the brain, you know. We're not dumber, so like where is it happening? It's a physicality, you know. throughout history, that's what the stereotype has been. Man is stronger than woman. If all else fails, that's what you're gonna depend on. You know what I mean? So I feel that, therefore, it changes how people think. If a woman has to think 2 or 3 times, I have to calculate my route because there's a group of guys standing over in that corner, that's not a reality a man has to live through. Maybe in like super dangerous area, I might get mugged, but like for a woman, that's a daily thing. Yo, hey, honey, come through, fuck you, every day, like once in a while I'll be like, but every day for women that go to work or get mugged or what, and all of this stuff, and we ain't jumping out of the trees mugging each other. You know what I mean? So that thing, there will be that animosity because it's a weird, not safe world. There's a lot that women have to talk about that men are not aware of, simply because we are standing on very different positions on this globe. You're like way up there where the privilege is and shit is cool, and I have to do all this work amongst all the shit I'm dealing with to educate you on what's happening here with me. I know exactly what's happening with you because the whole world revolves around you.
Right.
As a woman, you know what I mean? And I still have to go and let you know what's up. You know what I mean? Despite the condescending and, hey, jiggle your titties, and I'll jiggle them, but I'm still letting you know. You know what I mean?
Right. I feel that.
Shit, man.
I feel that. What? Tell me your name though. Yugen Blakrok. Like, does it have a specific meaning? Or
not very specific. I used to rap under Blakrok, just Blakrok, for a couple years. And when I picked that name, I suppose I'd wanted something strong, and I was very influenced by like 90s hip hop and all those philosophies of Black consciousness, and so I thought I was owning something great in myself with that. Then after some time, to be honest, I just felt like, man, it's just not, because there's Black everything, Black this and mahogany, what. I didn't want to like misrepresent myself. I just felt like at some point I just got into reading like a whole lot of books on just nature, I suppose, and psychology and just general stuff, that I'm interested in, and I found this book by Alan Watts, Man, Woman, Nature, and in there he talks about Yugen. There, like he references like Eastern art, where there's the concept of seeing the unseen. It's like such an abstract and vague kind of thing, the way that he talks about. He writes really well. I'm not as good at explaining it, but the sense that I got of it is to be able to find beauty in the ugliness of things, to kind of find that balance, to have an awareness of a whole, rather, you know what I mean? Like whenever you see something, you can see the opposite and them existing together. And I just felt like that's where I was at, like it just resonated. I was like, yeah, Yugen Blakrok, that's what Blakrok wants to be, So I just kind of put it there for myself as something to achieve, like word magic. Someone calls you Yugen enough times, you will be that shit. So right. I was like, yeah.
That's it.
I was like, yeah.
It's really
so I got that
strong. Like I didn't know if there was a specific meaning behind it, but when you hear Yugen, well, first of all, when I thought of Yugen, I thought of Street Fighter. I don't know why. I just like I don't know, Street Fighter just came in my head, and then the Blakrok just like it really pops out. It feels like something that is solid, that is like it's in your center, hitting your core. It's like the Black Rock. It's like
Blakrok, exactly that. And I've got that, and I find like Africans, we we put effort into naming, and I suppose like everybody does, you know, everybody does. So you know, you want to give something a name, you know, that's aspirational, something like big, something that you can like chase forever, something that will mold you into what you need to be, you know. So yeah, so with all that stuff, man, I feel like it's something for myself as well, you know. It's something that I needed to be like, yeah, man, this is what I want to be. Because for a long time I rapped because I could do it, you know, because that was how I got into rapping, you know. There were guys around, and you know, I couldn't dance and shit. I would have been like a big girl, but like 2 left feet. But that was what I wanted to do.
Right.
That's what I wanted to do, you know. But I couldn't do it, and I was like messed up about it for a while. And you know, I loved hip hop, and I, you know, and at that time, you know, and there's this earnestness when you're like a kid and you're into it, and there's this like militant tone to it that you're just like, yeah, and you really feel like you're gonna change some shit, you know. So I wanted, I was mad into it, and you know, the rapping, I was like, yeah, I'll get to it, I'll do it, you know, at some point, and I did it, and I was a shy kid. It was tough, but I really was that moved by shit that I'd heard, you know, like I'd heard I feel like Killer Army at some point, like the first time I heard them, like Fear, Love and War or some shit, and I was crying over some track, you know what I mean? Because I hadn't really discovered hip hop yet. There's this stuff that was like playing on 90s TV or whatever, like Vanilla Ice and MC Hammer and, you know, Heavy D, and, you know, like that kind of shit would get played on TV. And then only when I met people that were into that kind of stuff, I could get into it. Because I'm from a small town, you know, we weren't getting a whole lot of shit from, you know, without the internet, you know what I mean? You weren't getting anything from anywhere, you know, folks are just playing the traditional Xhosa music or the pop that's going on TV, and, you know, like general stuff. So by the time I got into it, like in my teenage years or whatever, it really got to me, you know. It really, like, I couldn't understand half of what folks are talking about because I was too young to understand discrimination or the topics that cats were on, whether it's Wu-Tang and, you know, just the militant protect your neck shit or whatever, or Public Enemy for that matter. It was hard as hell, you know. It's nice to rage, but I'm not really, I don't get it, you know. So that stuff also educated me, because those are the things that stuck out, you know. Those are the things that, oh, let me read a little bit about that. Let me find out who this person is, or why is this person important? Why is, you know, why is Riza saying this? Or, you know, oh, the Grim Reaper, why? And you don't know what any of these people look like. You know what I mean? For me, growing up on hip hop, you listened to it. It wasn't music videos, you know, like music videos were like for mainstream cats, but the cats that really spoke to my soul, I never saw them. I never saw, or even like Pharaoh Monch or Prince Poe, up in, you know, ever up until like, well, Facebook, I followed them or some shit. Oh, that's what the guy looks like. So for me, I could hear the voice, but there was never an attachment to this kind of person or that kind of, this is what he must look like, or, you know. So judging anyone on appearance was never a thing, you know. So I never expected shit to pop up for me like that because, oh, you're a woman, or you know. So these are things that you learn as you're growing up, like, oh, okay, I'm noticing that, you know, things are not going as I'm expecting, you know, your equality, justice, whatever shit, you know, and you're kind of not getting what you're thinking you're gonna get. So those things will make you question yourself, obviously, like, you know, what am I doing here? I was rapping to just compete with the cats, you know. I'm as good as you, you know. Even I was rapping some stupid shit at some point. I was back as fuck when I started out, you know. I had to work my ass off to like get some acknowledgement, and even when I did get it, half the time I'm like, he's just saying that because I'm a girl. Shit, I'm gonna knock his ass out. You know what I mean? Like half the time you're like, you know, you can't even take a compliment because you've got some issue, like, oh, it's because of this, because now you've been made aware, you know, you were fine. Now, like, there's all this stuff, you know, and you battle with it, and you find yourself in that, you know, like, actually, you know, I'm rapping because I've got a whole lot of things to say, you know, and they might not be uplifting, and they might not be noble sometimes, and sometimes, you know, they're my aspirations, and sometimes it's just the reflection of where I'm at, or, you know, how I see the universe. And, you know, a person asks you, why are you so special, you know, why should you, you know, like, why should you do this, you know, because of how it makes me feel, you know. And that's it. I'm a sentimental cat. There isn't anyone I've ever worked with that I don't love, and I insist on working like that. That is my shit. That is it. This is how I insist on working, and that's it. I will not work with you because of who you know, or where you think you can get me, or, you know, it's cool, you know, because I'm doing this shit because I love it, you know. I'm gonna do some shit with you, you know, I got love for you. We're gonna do this thing together for its sake, and that's that, you know. I'm good. I'm fine, you know. You don't like me aside, it's cool. But, like, I've got my people, I've got family, I've got a community, I've got people that think in a similar way to me, and the people that challenge the way that I think, you know, and I appreciate them, you know, folks that make me think hard about what I think I know, you know, that expand my view, because I enjoy that shit. You know, I enjoy chilling and doing nothing for long amounts of time, you know, just thinking about stuff. And that's that. And this is how I want to live. So I make sure that my life will allow me to do this stuff. You know, I will mess with people that allow me to be like this there, you know. And it will get me where I need to go. Like, I've so much faith in the universe and myself and in people, you know, that I'm like, yo, I feel cool, man. I feel loved. I feel like heard, you know, and I'm like rambling and I'm talking, and, you know, I'm okay. I can work, you know. I don't want to complain and stuff, you know. I want to be like, I want to be like this all the time. When I'm caught me on a good day, crew, I'm telling you shit, you know, like, like when I'm feeling like, and it's not often like that because there's a whole lot of stuff to deal with, and often it can seem like, whoa, oh, I'm a bit overwhelmed with this and that, but like, it's never too much, man. Whatever you can finish, you can. Whatever you can't finish, you can't finish, you know. It's like, just be cool. Yeah, like, hey girl, why do I feel like, why are you like asking me questions like in my head?
No, you
like
just
trying to blame you for some shit.
You're just going. I'm listening. Like, this is iconic. That's all I would say, for real. Like, it's just, you're naturally flowing with the things that you have to say, and it's not just you saying any type of nonsense. It's real shit that needs to be heard. And that's why I like to do this stuff, because a lot of people, you know, we get so caught up in, you know, just kind of the busyness of doing our stuff that we don't really take the time out to have these type of conversations. Just candid. This is how I feel. This is it.
And that's it. You know, it's not bigger than it is. It's not smaller than it is. You know, that's it. You know?
Right.
Yeah,
so we should do this more.
Yeah, I definitely think so.
For sure.
We should talk more. Yeah.
Tell me about your crew. Recess Poetry, Lapetis Records, and the hip hop scene. You kind of touched on it a little bit in Africa. And a little bit about community involvement. If you know any organizations or individuals, I know you. Just what's going on with that?
Yeah. Well, Recess Poetry is a crew. Was a crew from like the Eastern Cape. This is like the part of South Africa that I'm from as well. So these are guys from like my hometown that I met in my hometown before I moved to Johannesburg. So you know, they were mad cool cats, you know. So we kind of clicked, we did some tracks together, you know. So some of them moved up to Johannesburg. So when I moved up, I linked up with them again, and we kind of became the crew. Whereas before, I was kind of like, you know, almost like a featuring kind of artist, you know, we do some tracks. So we got here, we did like an EP, we did some tracks, and like cats focused on their individual kind of specialities. Because within the crew, we had cats made beats, cats were into poetry and theater and stuff, you know. I was pretty much the I rap kind of person there, you know. So like, and we're like pretty good friends even then, you know. So that was like a nice era, because this is like when I was coming from like small town to big town, you know, like to like big city kind of transition. These are folks like that had my back. These are folks like kind of discovered Johannesburg together a little bit, you know. So after the crew split, like almost like maybe 8-9 years ago or something, by then I'd met this Liquid Skills, this MC. I featured her on Return of the Astrogoth, and she's like my best friend, you know. So we've been friends for like a while. We just carried on rapping, you know, did our stuff. And at that point, when the crew had split, I'd had songs that I'd not recorded, like written, and I was looking to like drop a solo album, you know. And I didn't know how to do it really. I mean, I knew we were going to record it and then, but like outside of having the thing, we didn't know what to do with it. How do you get into stores and all of that stuff? Whatever. It was like a really badly done project anyway, but I met up with Shorty Skills from Lapetis at Grayscale. So it's like, meet this cat and I know immediately who he is, right? Because he's a legend in the hip hop scene in South Africa, you know, like he was amongst one of the first cats that were kind of visible, like with maybe the first mixtape, like the Mother Load kind of vibe. So he had that with him. So when I met him, I was immediately like, oh my gosh, okay, that's Shorty Skills, yo, dude. Yo, check my stuff out, you know. I was on some typical rapper shit. Yo, check out my tracks.
Hear my track. I just dropped the track. Listen to my track.
Yeah. Check my shit out. I did that. I pulled that one on him. And it did. And you know what, man? Gave me some tough criticism that day. He picked out all the whack shit that I'd done on there, and he like talked to me about them. You know, I was hurt, but I appreciated it. And I was like, yo, man, I could just say, yo, that's nice, and then you walk out. But like, I feel like you're cool, man. You've got like a cool vibe, and you're talking about some really cool shit. And I feel like you could improve on A, B, and C. And I went home and I told my peoples there, because we weren't in the crew no more, but we're still like hanging out. This guy, you know. And for me, that was a turning point, like meeting that guy, Shorty Skills, because from him, I met the rest of the Ayapetus crew. I met Kanif, who I now work with like all the time, you know. And I found that I don't know, that way of dealing with shit, that being straightforward and calling something whack, I haven't heard it in a long time, you know, because hip hop had become so ego based that, you know, you can't even afford to say that because you're going to be called a hater and or that guy's on a I'm just saying swag, you know. I don't have to like it or whatever. So that kind of vibe, I found like, oh man, these cats are really cool, you know. And when I hung out with them, I found like, you know, we kind of gelled together in that the conversations we're having are about things that we're all interested in, and everyone is kind of adding in their viewpoint, and we're all coming from complete different walks of life, you know. And I find it amazing, even up until now, like being with the crew, like each artist has their own unique individual personality, but like we're you know, peas in a pod, you know. We talk, and so for me that's important. So when we're talking about like changing the situation you're in or changing your world, you're talking about changing the people that you're around. you know. And if everyone that is around you is on the same tip that you are, y'all are cool, y'all are knit, y'all are, you can take over anything, you know what I mean? We're good at doing us, you know, like those are my peoples that I have Lapetis Records. We're like, man, you know, we just do whatever, you know, we're not like a conventional record label, you know. I don't know. We don't know what that is, you know. We just do our shit, trial and error. This works, and this is what we're gonna do,
right?
You know. So it's all very DIY, all very hands-on stuff. Like everything everything I write, I'm writing. You know, I want to, and if I, you know, like rapping some shit, like, did you really say that? You know, kind of vibe. We're open enough to kind of like get in on each other's thing, like, oh, for real, you know, you've got like yourself and you've got people that are like, oh, for real, is that what you're saying? So you make sure that everything that you're saying you can stand behind,
right.
You know, so that's what I like them, because everyone here is talented, so there's that competitive shit.
It's like self-checking y'all self-checking each other. It's like, you are you about that life?
Oh, for real. Oh, yeah, go
you about
for it.
that
And then
life,
you check
right?
it. You're like, oh yeah, actually I am, and you go for it. Or nah, you know, good luck, I'll go. You know what I mean?
That's
so
love.
those are folks that
That's
have
love.
your back,
yeah,
more than anything, you know, and it's that above all else. And therefore, when our shit like takes long to drop, it's because like quality checked,
you perfecting the
and
craft.
it's you, yeah,
right.
and it's all you. Like every beat that I rap on, I picked. If I don't like, there are people that like, I know like I can be a bit difficult to work with because I have this thing that I want to do and I can't often articulate it nicely.
What's your sign,
like,
Yugen?
My sign?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Libra, crew.
Oh Lord. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I
okay.
can see that.
Okay.
I can see. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I got
and
you.
How? And you?
Leo Virgo.
Oh gosh. All right. Okay. We're cool.
right.
We're cool.
Right. Right.
We're cool.
Right.
Yeah. So that man, I'm enjoying it, yo. I'm enjoying like writing for this album as well. I felt like my first album I wrote, and Kanif and I made like together, like we said, even like when it came to the samples and stuff, he's like that. He's open. He's making that album with you, because he's also quite old school in his thinking, in that there's nothing quite like a producer MC relationship. You know what I mean? You see it with Gangstar. You know what I mean? There's that, like where someone, I'm doing the rhymes and he's making the soundscape. So like whatever I'm rapping on, if he's chucking a beat for me, I can hear the vibe and I'm writing to it. Or I've got something that I want to say already and I will rap it on a little skeleton beat, and you'll hear it and you're like, oh, okay, I know exactly what you're trying to say here, you know, and I will add that horn and it's gonna make it like, you know what I mean? We like gas each other up, you know, we're there, you know, he's right, you know, like partners, like, yo man, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I want to say, you know. And also him, he's quite open to, yeah, but I don't really want that, and I'm like that most of the time. No, I don't. You know, so I end up maybe not working with a lot of people because maybe they find it hard to tune into that frequency. But I find like Kanif and like a whole lot of other cats do have that I don't know, they can get it. You know, I can say I want this kind of beat and I know he'll deliver, you know, or a Casa 455, we're chilling, you know, I know I can trust a Seventh Galaxy. Like there's certain people, you have to know your people. You know, so with that first album, Kanif and I ended up working together exclusively because, I mean, I asked Cats for beats, you know, I approached some of my, you know, favorite producers, some of the cats that I respected, to kind of get me something. And I can understand, like, sometimes from the other person's point of view, I didn't have an album out at the time. So maybe they didn't know what I wanted exactly. And sometimes you just happen to work with producers who just want to push their own sound. You know, they're not gonna make a beat for you. Like, no, you try sound nice on my beat, like make it like an ego kind of thing, whereas like
yes, like let's
we're
work
working, let's
together. Like
create
this, yeah,
something.
this is what it's
Yeah,
about. Like that's, and I think that's the lost
exactly.
art of this
Yeah,
game. It's like a lot of people just want what they want. They don't want
yeah,
to like get together and like
yeah,
really collaborate on
exactly.
something. Like let's see what we could do. Like let's just
Mm. And I
rap.
can understand that
Let's see.
because
You know?
I do it often
Yeah.
myself. Often I'm like, I want to do this
Yeah.
like this,
Yeah.
So come in with what I want,
Right.
and then we do it because this is what I want to do. And then when you want to do your shit, I will come in
Right.
100% for your
Right.
shit. But now don't come try to do your shit on my shit.
Right.
Like let's
Right.
like build each other up.
Right.
Let's not let egos say you want to shine on a what beat. Nah, it ain't about you.
Right.
Create, be
Right.
part of the soundscape. We need mountains, we need rivers in this motherfucker.
Right.
Like be a team player. We
Right.
need a lot more of that in hip-hop. Like cats not just out for their own thing, and having
Mm.
respect for someone who's doing their thing and know what to add to it,
Mm.
other than ego and issues. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like so we ended up like working like together, and it became like I wrote and then he made the beats, and it was great. It worked out fine. The second time around, when we decided we're going into studio to work for this album, we still hollered at a lot of our favorite producers, and we got some really nice stuff that we featured, like outside of Khalif's beats. I'm not gonna say who, but it's really been amazing because I feel like that first album did kind of help, like even with those guys that didn't know exactly what I was looking for, to be like, okay, this is what this person is trying to say, and you want to be that, that's what you want. This is Yugen Blakrok. This is what you can expect if you're trying to work with me. This is where we want to meet. I understand we've got a whole lot of things that won't click. We're like moving differently, but at some point, there's a point where you and I are going to meet and we can make something really fantastic.
Right.
And then you go about your business and I go about mine,
Right.
It's all good. So the energy for this album is really like, I'm feeling like, yeah,
I'm ready. I'm ready.
trying to be authentic.
Yeah.
Just, I'll talk a lot about like real issues, I feel like, and then just keep it real with the raps, man. Like I wanna do exactly what I wanna do. I wanna have that feeling, like when I've watched like my favorite artist on stage, where I just can't contain myself. I could jump out of my skin, kind of vibe. I want to like be able to tap into that space all the time, and I feel like I can gather enough energy to just make that, as well.
Right.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm just like,
I'm excited too. When you
I know,
when you
I don't want to talk about it.
well I'll ask that in a second, but what about the just a little bit about the hip hop scene. I know you kind of touched on it before, but just the hip hop scene in South Africa, and then just community involvement. Like, what is as far as like, is it popping? Do they support? I mean, I know it's popping, but is it popping? Do they support local artists out there, especially when it comes to radio stations, or just is it just kind of like scattered all over the place?
Yeah, they do. I mean, there's that thing, that bridge, that gap, where there's a mainstream and like an independent scene. And the independent scene is popping, girl. It's lit, it's dope, it's fat, because that's what happens. Like folks are more creative in that side of the art world. Then as far as like the mainstream is happening, there's a whole lot of corporates, with their fingers in everything. Every other maybe TV ad, whatever, when you do switch it on, there's some guy kind of rapping. It's the thing, you know what I mean? It's hip hop, but like there's a lot of, I suppose, I mean, you guys maybe dictate what hip hop looks like, what the trends are, what the lingo is going to sound like, and all of that, and the rest of the world will sort of adapt their shit,
You talking about like
according to that, in a way.
mainstream?
I'm talking like in general, like when it comes to hip hop mainstream, yeah. Like I feel like most countries we copy American styles and fads and all of
That's
that shit.
true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But at
that's
the
true.
same time, there is a an awareness of Africa by Africa. You know what I mean? Like I feel like we're now like getting aware of ourselves, whereas before, like maybe 20 years ago, all the focus was on what America is doing. You know, what's the latest shit you guys got out there? And I feel like right now, like it's authentic. You know,
Yeah.
we're finding our own voices. You know, I mean, come here, man. Cats rap in every kind of language you can think of that we got. You know, it sounds different. Like our hip hop is different. You know, the vibe, the soul is different. Where, you know, what we put into it. So you can have cats rapping about money and cars and women, because it's always been there, that as well, you know. And then you have other cats that'll give you like a whole different viewpoints that are really, really dope at what they do, you know. So the scene will always be that. I don't think we'll ever have like one unified hip hop scene, because society is just not there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like hip hop will always be a reflection of where society is at. And right now, you know, what's popular is still your black booty and big booty and this and that. And, you know, like just weird things, you know?
I think right now, sorry, my bad. That was Steve calling me. But I think right now, what's going on, and me and CM be talking about this too. After the 90s, early 2000, corporations started tapping into hip hop, which they first said that wasn't gonna sell or wasn't gonna last. Of course, girl, keep calling me. I'll call you back.
Okay, go ahead.
No, tap
Man.
tap into hip hop because they saw it was making money.
Yeah.
So they saw that this money was coming in. So they figured, well, why is my camera off?
No. That was me. Oh, your camera's off, yes.
It's off. Why is it?
I can't see you at all. Yeah.
I don't know what happened, but yeah, I don't know why my camera. They must not want me to talk about this, or it's because he's calling. It's all good. It's cool. Anyway, they knew it was making money. They knew that what we was doing was making some change, and they decided to tap into that culture. So what you start seeing was, instead of people talking about the stuff that was going on in the streets, they started like low-key brainwashing. Like it became the bling bling era. It became money, cars, clothes, materialistic, you know, having all of these things that don't really amount to anything. Because like I tell people all the time, you can't take that shit with you when you go. But I digress. It started developing into a culture that was just so focused on money and things that usually a lot of us can't seem to attain. And when we do attain it, it's overly done. Like people literally reach for these things because they're things, and end up becoming really depressed, end up killing themselves over this shit. A lot of stuff comes from that. So it's kind of like these culture vultures came and just attacked the culture. Like we say all the time, like the rap industry is totally different from hip hop culture. People be trying to throw, well, hip hop just isn't. Well, the hip hop culture and the rap industry is a little bit different. Hip hop, the rap industry is about that money, about the cars and the clothes and how much money, and mainstream wise, they've even, you know, hit the radio stations hard. Like, I know back then, I know here for me growing up, when you listen to the radio, you could hear local people within the community doing their thing on the radio from your city. Now it's so bad that that's all they play is mainstream. They don't play, radio stations don't even play local artists anymore, unless it's like a community radio station, which is not even reaching half of the public that these mainstream radio stations are reaching. So it's like you listening to the same stuff over and over again, and they know people in their cars is listening to this shit driving to work every day. Like, they know they're getting strategic. Well, not getting, they've been strategic on how to tap into the minds of these young people, shit, even people my generation of people and older people. It's like everything, the real shit, hip-hop culture, because they know how universal it is. They know the capabilities it has to, it's a movement, you know what I mean? They know what it can do. So it's like, instead of promoting that, instead of,
but
they push.
Sometimes though,
You said what?
I do get that. I feel like I agree with you like 100% that is what's being done, like this lifestyle is being pushed. At the same time, I feel like that's what the whole world revolves around in the first place. You know what I mean? It's difficult as hell to live without money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything is attached to that, whether it's your social status, and folks don't need to care about that shit, but like putting food on the table, or just surviving, you need cash, just realistically. And so the chase for this cash or this means to survive, you can understand how important it is. And that's not to say, yo man, everybody, you shouldn't be, because that's quite naive to think that people wouldn't. Now what we're doing for this money is what's making like the problem. No one is mad at you for wanting to be able to afford the things that you want. No one can get mad at you for that. But the things that you're doing to get this cash, you know what I mean, is what's really messing us up. You know what I mean? Like playing along to the system, whether it's people doing things they don't want to do, because you have to be in debt to get a house. You have to create all this debt to be socially, like all these weird and unnecessary and things that I don't understand, like make the world a very difficult place to live in if you're trying to go against the grain. And it's not even like going against the grain is being this rebellious thing. It's just simply just doing what you want to do. It's a simple thing. It's what a lot of people who have money can afford to do.
Right.
When you've got cash, you can afford to think and be philosophical about everything.
Right.
You know what I mean? When you're poor, you can't afford that shit. Like literally, like it sounds like a joke, but it's like that.
No, it's the truth.
You don't have access to things. You don't have access to information. You don't have access to knowledge. Your diet is probably poor.
Health.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Your health is shit. The unemployment rate here is fucked. So like there are all these things that are only about survival occupying the majority of your time. You're not improving yourself on any kind of spiritual level other than through increasing your tolerance for handling bullshit and pain and hard times. You know what I mean? So it's a vicious cycle. And us Africans, we have been screwed a lot over all these years, you know what I mean, by these superpowers, by all these big countries that come and do and take and take and take and take and take. And then when shit fucks out and we're erupting in wars all over the place, want to be like, no, refugees, like they didn't start the shit. You know what I mean? Like it gets frustrating. I'm getting on this rant shit again because it's like, wow. When you live in it every day, it's like, damn. You make all kinds of defense mechanisms. You tell yourself like things aren't as bad as they are, and so I know so and so who's got it worse than me, but actually you're living on a sub level. It's not okay, it's not okay, it's not okay, it's not okay. And comparing yourself to someone who's worse off than you does not make your shit okay. You know what I mean? So like these things are so frustrating. It gets tough for me to not talk about them, and I don't want to come across as a bore, but man, we need to do some shit.
It's not.
We need to do
it's
something
not at all.
about it,
Yeah.
Because I mean, like I feel like we're missing out on so many opportunities and letting ourselves get distracted. I don't think we're new to this tactic of like big money being able to move around as it pleases, and everyone else that can't afford shit, can't afford nothing, can't afford to be happy, like it grates me. You grow up and birthdays pass and you're like, yo man, my mom's is still in this spot that I left her in. At what point do all our smart voices and what and all my peoples that went to school and got the degrees and y'all want to talk all big and sound smart and shit, all that sounding smart on Facebook and all these dumb places, what is it doing for us? We're not really having proper conversations. Everybody just wants to show off how much cash was spent on their education on some shit. I want to sound smart, but you're not really doing much. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even if it is just complaining, this is what it is. If something is wrong and you keep calling it out, it is gonna have to stop at some point. So the thing is not to like get defeated by shit not changing in time, or getting pissed off that maybe shit might change after you're dead or whatever, or your children. They're worth it. They're worth it to bring kids into a world that's just better than this, man. Where we can have like different problems. Can we not like live like this cycle? It's really soul crushing.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. And that's when you realize that you have a greater purpose than yourself out here. It's kind of like what you have to do and put in the work that you have to do in order to see shit well to where it needs to be. Like you just realizing what you're here for and what you're here to do, I think is the key essential thing, and helping other people realize and elevating them on a spiritual level about their true purposes and the things that they can contribute to the world if they just tap into themselves is kind of the key to making this shit go round. No, I don't like, even though it can be a lot of fuck shit going on around here. It is I try to look at the world in different perspectives. Maybe just looking into the things that I can do right now at this point in time in order to have, just create, I guess, to make a mark, to before I leave this earth, I know that I want to contribute something to the world.
Yeah.
To make it change.
Yeah, man.
To make it different. Yeah. To make it better. For sure.
For real.
Not just live to survive.
That's a dope thing, for real. Because like you're given so much,
Yeah.
You're an intelligent being. You're like an amazing being, like with things about yourself that you can't even explain, but like you're capable of so much as a human being.
Yeah.
Just as a person, like in terms of thought, in terms of what you can do with your mind and with the words that you choose to use, So yeah, to want to leave something even behind is not even like a hectic thing, It's not even like you're trying to be, or I don't know, like all super noble and and you got values and it's just a small thing, It's something that we've all got, and something on some level that we all want.
Yep.
If you can understand, get to a point where you can understand your needs and why you can sometimes fulfill that shit and sometimes why you can't, then you can understand why another person, you can, it's not that hectic. We don't need to fight about everything.
Yep.
We really don't. And I feel like a lot of us are having the same conversations, and maybe we're just not hearing each other nicely, or
Yep.
whatever the issue is. It's not that big that we can't get past it.
Yep.
I really think that
The world needs a lot of love, a lot of tender
I
love, a lot
agree.
of TLC and
A
understanding. People
lot.
don't
Yeah.
understand because it's like kids having a shouting match. Actually, I'm not even gonna put the kids
And
into
there
it because
are a
at
lot
least
of
kids can
givers.
talk.
There's so many givers, dude. There's so
Right.
many. Where we're
Yeah.
not lost at all, actually.
Right.
It's
Right.
just a matter of just like, when shit just snaps. I feel
Right.
I'm feeling quite like optimistic. I'm feeling happy. I'm feeling like,
Right.
yeah, man. Like, despite everything that irks me and rubs me up the wrong way, I'm not feeling pessimistic. It's not that I can't talk about like positive shit or whatever. It's just,
Right.
at that particular time, if I'm feeling negative about this particular thing, this is how I'm gonna communicate it. Just like when I'm happy about some shit and I can commend someone for doing really good work, that is the vibe that I'm gonna give off. And I feel like we could definitely like be more honest, be
Yeah.
more honest towards each other. I think we're scared of things that we don't know. And
Hmm.
the unknown is not as terrifying as we think it is.
Right. I mean, that's life.
Definitely.
It's unknown. I mean, like, yo, we
True.
don't know what's gonna happen from today to tomorrow.
Exactly. You don't
Embrace that
even know.
shit. You know what I mean? Embrace
You don't
it.
even know.
It's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I'm telling
Mhm.
you, girl, like this neighborhood that I live in, right? I don't know what they were doing, but like they shut down the water for a couple of days, you know. And you just like, at some point, you rage in the beginning, and then nothing changes, and you wake up the next day and you're like, really, there's no water. I suppose you could like complain, but sometimes, like the service industry is not so great. Folks are like, oh yes, ma'am, we do acknowledge your complaint. Yes, it'll be back by the, but no one's really doing anything. So like at some point you're just like, ah man, this is how it's gonna go. And right when I was getting used to it, you know, things kind of turned around for the better. So like chilling in, a much better position now. We're like chilling, got water and everything. But then you think, obviously, there are folks that are living without the stuff all the time.
Right.
It's a mission, and those little reminders are necessary every now and again, because there are a lot of things, there are a lot of privileges that we have, even in our oppressed state, even in our disadvantaged state,
Right.
just on a cosmic level, just
Yeah.
on that. And there are on many other levels, this is true as well. But there is that element, that fighter spirit, or whatever you want to call it, that will get you through the toughest times. And that's something to be grateful for. Not
Right.
to say, oh, I'm better off than this person, but man, I could be
In a
carrying a
yeah.
heavier burden
Yeah.
than this. I'm
Right.
not, and I might do it next week. Let me enjoy now, right now. Let me enjoy this burden. Let me enjoy the fact that I am carrying it. It's not pulling me under. It's not I'm carrying it. I'm able to right now. I will get better at carrying this shit, because bullshit doesn't stop. Even as you get older, you get better at dealing with it. And it's a tough lesson to learn for anyone in their 20s. I think that's the thing about the 20s, man. You think you think it's gonna get better, you think you're stressed, it doesn't get better. I think you just get better at handling it, man.
Right.
you know I don't
Right.
know. Okay, crew, I'm gonna leave you now. Do you have anything else you want to ask? I'm talking my ass off.
No, it's so good. I appreciate it so much. I really do. I just the last thing I want to know is like what you got
Mm-hmm.
upcoming. Like anything?
Upcoming, yes. So we will be in Germany from August. We'll go through a couple of countries: Switzerland, Denmark, France as well. So we'll be out in Europe this fall doing shows. If anybody wants to hit us up, see us in their city, we would be so happy. hit us up. You'll find the details on the Facebooks and all of that stuff. Also, an album is in the works. I will not say how far we are yet with it. But definitely, yes, by next year we'll be talking about things, and maybe you'll be asking me questions about things I've said.
Hell yeah,
or
you
may
already
not have
know.
said. So yeah, that's something to look forward to for me. I'm also going to try, just expand a little bit, see what else I can do, to just reach folks. It's tough as hell doing shit guerrilla style, but we really appreciate folks coming out and traveling to come and see us, because like the past 2 years we've really been focusing on the live act. Oh yes, and also we're trying to get to the US next year.
What?
So, guys,
wait a minute.
I don't know. Yes.
Wait a minute.
So we
so
chilling
we gonna be
scheme for some years. So I'm hoping, I'm crossing fingers. I'm gonna please be nice to me at the border.
No, if you need
I will be calling out all my friends.
Yes.
All your couches. I will sleep on couches. I am there. It's so nice to meet up with people. It is so great, like, to have the opportunity to be able to leave maybe, the place or the country that you're born, to go see other countries.
Right.
Doing this that I'm doing it's a mind trip, And when I meet people that are into the same stuff that I'm into, or know our music with a whole label, or just me or some, it's amazing. It's amazing every time. And I can't get over it. I'm not used to it. So my thing is to overdo it. So no doubt you will be seeing me across some states, if not all of them, but that's the plan for next year. So we're going to try and make that happen. Want to link up with folks also that can make stuff happen, that want to work, that want to link up, build nice things. So this is the mission. This is where I'm at. This is why I'm making the albums. It's just an excuse to get out and reach out and like meet my people, basically. So this is my mission.
Hey, well, gun ho to the mission. When you come out to the States, I'm in Virginia right now, but I think I'm going to be moving, because we'll talk about that another day, but probably going to be moving to I'm trying to decide between DC and Chicago. So when you ready to come through, I don't know when I'll be leaving, but when you're ready to come,
I am so ready. Can life be ready?
Yes.
With me.
Right. I heard that.
Yeah, girl. I will definitely reach out, man. We're really trying to make it possible. We've been having such a great time, and I find like shows are the best. I enjoy being in the studio and recording and looking at my favorite Bruce Lee picture over there.
I see. I was going talk about that. When you was going in, I was like, yo, you got the Bruce Lee joint in the back? I see you.
Feeling it. So like studio vibes are great, but once you get out and there's that magic of being on stage and we're sharing that moment, there's no let's try another take, there's just that, and it's us. It's amazing, man. When you feel like you've just found your people, even if it's just for like a short amount of time, it's great. And I can't wait to meet folks.
Yo, if you when you do come out here, if y'all need like a touring videographer, photographer, I do documentary style stuff.
Oh, for real?
I would love to be on the road and get y'all's tales.
Okay, now we have to keep talking now.
Yes, we do. So
I'm super happy, man. Great. Yeah, shout out to Tenfold. What a nice day.
Yes. Shout out to Yugen. I thank you so much for coming through, and I will shoot me your number. Do you have iPhone or you got Android?
iPhone. Yes, I'll shoot you my number.
Yeah, shoot me your number, and then we'll definitely keep in touch. I feel like I don't know. I know you're busy, but I feel like there's a lot more things that need to be touched on that we haven't covered all just yet. But I enjoy talking to
you. I enjoyed it too. I enjoyed talking to you too, dude. And we need to talk a bit more. Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you.
Alrighty then.
Hit me up.
What time is it by you there?
It's 1:04 p.m. Yes.
1:04 p.m.
Yes.
Right. Okay, then have a nice day.
You too. And I will definitely highlight you. Soon. For sure.